Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Kyloe Wrapped 2022. My name is Paige Kirkness, and I'm on the Bullhorn product team here at Kyloe Partners. Let's start the session with the agenda. Today, we are going to cover 3 key main industry points from 2022 and how to follow them into 2023. We'll also show you how you can improve your tech stack to reduce manual tasks, increase data quality, and ultimately place candidates faster to expand your business. Then at the end, as mentioned, we'll also have the Q&A session, and with any questions or comments you might have, we will get them answered there. So before we get into the content, let's do a quick round of introductions. Let's start with Brittany.
Hi, everyone. Can you see me okay?
Perfect. Got you.
I am Brittany Blitzel, a lead product consultant here at Kyloe. Kind of what I do in my day-to-day role is work with clients who have purchased our applications to integrate and configure them seamlessly into their Bullhorn environments. As well, work with our clients to manage the relationship long-term to ensure they're getting the most out of their product subscriptions.
Great, thank you, Brittany. And then we have Alistair.
Hi, I'm Alistair. I'm the product manager here at Kyloe. What I do is I look at features that may be required for our applications based on several different things, such as user feedback, industry trends, decide what needs to be built and why. I have to be able to justify it. And once that's done, I communicate the requirements to the software team so they can make it.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So those are our 2 Kylovian experts, and we will get right into our content. So the first part of today is all about key industry talking points that we've detected throughout 2022. Recruitment, like many other industries, is rapidly changing to adapt to the more demanding business landscape we live in. Being able to forecast 2023 might sound a bit difficult right now, but when the Kyloe team looks back at 2022, 3 key topics relating to the staffing tech stack come up again and again. It's not likely that we'll see these go away quickly, and today we'll be looking at how some of our key product updates of this year can equip you with the tools you need to follow through on these into 2023. So our first one is automation for efficiency. The impact of technology within the recruitment industry throughout the years is undeniable, but automation now sits at the heart of every company. Alistair, what do you think about this? How can automation impact recruitment and staffing companies?
Well, automation can have a huge impact at many different levels. So for example, one of the most recent Bullhorn studies revealed that recruitment firms that embrace automation have much higher success metrics. For example, they have a 64% higher fill rate. They submit a third more candidates per recruiter, and they're also 55% more likely to report major revenue increases in the following year from the automation implementation.
And that actually relates perfectly with our second topic from 2022 as well, the importance of providing excellent candidate experience. The market is only getting more competitive, so being able to streamline the hiring process and have clear communication with candidates while still ensuring that your messaging and positioning are aligned is key to providing a great candidate experience while reducing the time to hire and increase revenue. And then into our last point, Brittany, how can clients stand out in a competitive market?
Like you mentioned, Paige, it's a tough market right now. Earlier this year, Forbes actually reported that there were roughly 11 million open jobs in the US, but only just under 7 million people who are unemployed and looking for work, actively seeking work, I guess, would be the better way to say that. So, attracting and keeping talent in this market is by no means easy, but incorporating a proactive and efficient talent strategy while creating a strong employer brand, you can improve your chances. That's where technology comes in as an essential asset for any staffing company, regardless of their size, the region, or what industry they're serving. The impact technology can have on setting your business apart from competitors is undeniable, but the later you leave it to embrace these technologies, the more difficult it will be to navigate through that market.
Definitely. I mean, we can see that already. So let's see how we can follow these themes into the new year. But first, I just want to add some background information for those in today's session who don't know about Kyloe data tools. So inconsistent and inaccurate data can obviously cause many issues within your CRM if left unchecked. Kyloe Data Tools is the most powerful data management tool for Bullhorn, built to give you the ability to cleanse, dedupe, and mass update your Bullhorn data without needing any coding knowledge or requiring incredibly time-consuming input from your team. You can have the ability to take mass Bullhorn data updates into your own hands. So, the first way that we think we can follow these key talking points into 2023 is to put your data management on autopilot. Maintaining a high data quality level can be highly time-consuming, and managing these updates manually can also mean that you're at risk of human error. So, although data tools can apply mass updates in Bullhorn, many clients were asking if this could be done automatically in the background. To help solve this, one of the main things that we've introduced to Kyloe Data Tools this year is the ability for you to set your Bullhorn data updates on autopilot, meaning that you no longer need to rely on your consultants to make the updates. When you put your data updates on autopilot, your data is always accurate and relevant, acting as a solid foundation for reports and automations. So, Alistair, how are you seeing people use automated data management? What sort of tasks can be set on autopilot with Kyloe Data Tools? And how can this benefit a recruiter's daily routine, for example?
Well, data rules can be used to transform Bullhorn data without manual intervention, and this can be used to drive standard recruiting processes forward. So an example of how our customers are using this is they can automatically update statuses, for example, on job orders or vacancies based on certain actions. So, for example, an interview is scheduled, and if an interview is created, update the status on the associated records. If an attachment is uploaded, update the status. If notes with specific actions are updated, then update a field on the placement or the job order, for example. And if this happens automatically, then it means that people don't have to remember to do this, and that can in fact, be used to trigger other rules as well. So it can have a cumulative effect.
Great, thank you. And Brittany, based on your extensive experience working with Bullhorn clients, how can candidates and recruitment companies benefit from something like this?
Yeah, so I think within the Data Tools project, companies can build out rules. When I say companies, our clients, right, can build out rules to standardize formatting of data within Bullhorn, such as the formatting of first name and last names that are going to pull into external systems, phone numbers, addresses. They can maintain data integrity by updating the information on candidate records based on their current placement or their work history. As well, they can improve the performance of other integrations like Kyloe Awesome Docs, Bullhorn Automation, or Sense by maintaining a database without duplicates. All of these ensuring a more positive candidate and client experience along the way.
I'm sure most people on this call will understand the importance of data integrity in today's market as well. Yeah. So, another topic related to the staffing tech stack that comes up again and again is credentialing. Staffing companies worldwide are working hard to increase their revenue, but manual credentialing processes often slow down submission processes and increase the risk of placing unqualified candidates. All of this can affect your revenue and cause damage to your reputation within the industry. So again, to help mitigate this issue, the Kyloe team have developed the ability for recruitment companies to automate the entire credentialing process, from creating credential requirements to automatically requesting them from the candidate and storing them securely in the right place in Bullhorn. Brittany, if we come to you, what challenges do you see clients encounter when it comes to the credentialing process?
Forgot to hit on mute. One of the most common challenges I see is the disconnect between the credentialing process and the recruitment process. So many of our clients are using external systems outside of their CRM to store and manage credentials, and often those systems aren't integrated, right? So having that process segmented causes bottlenecks and delays from the point of engagement with a candidate or a client to the submittal, and from the submittal to getting that person to work. So if a recruiter, for instance, cannot easily access the credentials they need to submit a candidate for a job opening, there's our delay of the submittal, right? If your compliance team has to manually request and manage credentials, that could delay a new hire from beginning a placement on time.
So both of those bottlenecks have the potential to impact a client's revenue. How can recruitment technology help place the right candidates faster then?
Yes, so the entire credentialing process can be automated when you integrate products like Bullhorn Onboarding 365, Kyloe Awesome Docs, or Able. with those, we can collect and save credentials back into Bullhorn automatically. Ultimately, that reduces the amount of time your compliance team would spend on collecting and managing credentials and allows for those credentials to be easily accessed by recruitment teams to ensure the submittal process is seamless. In addition to reducing the risk of lost revenue, you're giving your team back time to focus on what's really important, which is providing that great experience for your clients and your candidates.
Of course. So we've touched on how the credentialing process can be automated. Then, Alistair, if we look then at how can technology help us manage credentials in Bullhorn? What are the differences between storing these as credentials versus standard files? And how can this be done automatically in the background?
Okay, so in Bullhorn, there are credential requirements. And what these are essentially a series of checks about what a candidate needs for various stages of the recruitment process. For example, what documentation is needed to even exist as a candidate in the first place in the ATS, or what qualifications are required to be shortlisted or placed for a job. Not necessarily just qualifications, other things. It could be tax documents, for example, a driver's license, that sort of thing. So data rules can automatically create these credential requirements, and they can be based on the characteristics of a job, such as which company this job is for, its location. It could be based on characteristics of the candidate itself. So only candidates who fall into a certain tax status, for example, will need these credential requirements. So every candidate for a specific company in California needs these documents, and so on. And
Great.
once these credential requirements are created, then they can be fulfilled by specific examples that the candidate can supply. You can also tidy up these credentials by deleting expired ones using data rules. You can encrypt credential requirements. And even if you're not using the Bullhorn official credentials feature, if you're just using regular candidate attachments for onboarding documents, you can restrict visibility, share it with specific groups if they are restricted files or certain departments or specific individuals.
So there's obviously a lot that can be done both in the inbringing of credentials and in the management of credentials through multiple different technologies, as you can see. Mm-hmm. So as well as everything that's been previously mentioned, we've also had a bunch of other additional functionality upgrades within data rules this year. One of my personal favorites is the ability to have an automated rule run when a placement is approved, which can update the candidate and the job status to placed. It can also update the candidate availability and update the candidate's current daily pay rate based on the information on the placement record. If the company is also inactive, we can then have this update to active at the same time, all without having to do anything manually at all. And this can run every time a placement is added, determined based on whatever criteria you want it to, essentially. So, Alistair, Brittany, I'm sure you have your own favorites from 2022. Do you both want to share some of them and explain how these new features are helping recruitment companies? Alistair, do you want to go first?
Well, I really like anything to do with numbers within data rules. So my top three features probably are rules for dealing with placement commissions. We also have our maths functions feature, and very soon we'll have a count feature as well. So for example, with placement commissions, in the US, a split desk recruitment model is more common. Usually 50% goes to the recruiter and 50% goes to the sales rep. With our placement commission rules, we can adjust those so that 100% just goes to one of the recruiters. This is more common in Europe. We can also delete those unneeded placement commissions as well. It can constantly look out, data rules can constantly look out for these placement commissions that are automatically created by Bullhorn and adjust them to your own specifications. We also have the maths functions feature, and this can be very useful for calculating a margin percentage from a bill rate and a pay rate on a placement. This can again happen on a schedule, can happen automatically, always looking out for new placements that are created. Also, if there are legislation changes, for example, that mean you need to update lots of placements at once, you need to change the rates, union agreement changes as well. You can do that using the maths functions feature. And also very soon we'll have the count feature as well. So for example, once a job has a certain number of CV sendouts or submissions, then you can count how many have occurred and then automatically update the status on the job order as well.
Great, thank you. Anything that helps me not have to do mental maths is brilliant. So, Brittany, do you want to share your top 3 new favorites as well, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So piggyback on what you said earlier, Paige, one of my favorite features is creating rules to automatically update records based on, and candidate records specifically, based on information from their current placement or their most recent work history. Not just the statuses, right? But we can take the job title, we can take their current company, take the pay rate from those records, put them onto the candidate record. So we're always ensuring their data is accurate and reflective of their recent role without the need for a recruiter to go in and manually do anything. Another is the ability to update and edit the country field of an address in mass. This feature is proven valuable to our clients who have presence in multiple countries, right? Because when we're adding records into Bullhorn, they default to a specific country. Having the ability to edit these in mass and on a cadence saves time and effort when searching for relevant records in Bullhorn. And the last would be the ability to assign ownership of records based on factors like location, category, and date of the last note against the record. Setting these rules to automate this process helps ensure that new candidates in your database are getting to the right recruiters, and that jobs, especially those jobs that are added through an integration, are prioritized by your team. It gives the team back time to make meaningful contact with candidates and clients rather than putting all their energy in wading through records in a database.
Perfect. Thank you both so much for sharing your examples. So, on to the next slide, we go. One of the most common challenges that almost every staffing and recruitment company struggle with is data quality and how it prevents you from generating more business. That's why we created Kyloe Data Tools, Bullhorn's most powerful data management solution. It can detect and merge Bullhorn duplicates manually or automatically on a schedule so that the dupes are gone before they ever even become a problem. You can also use it to run searches that Bullhorn doesn't allow you to find or exclude missing data, like candidates with no resumes or contacts with no email information. And finally, you can use it to run mass data updates on your Bullhorn system that in the past would have had to be done as an expensive job by a third party or as an extremely time-consuming manual process. All of this helps you to run successful automations, free up your consultants' time, and generate more accurate reports, all with no coding knowledge. We've recently run the stats, and in 2022 alone, our clients have updated more than 15 million records in Bullhorn. You can see here we've got a few quotes from clients from different regions and industries that use Kyloe Data Tools on a daily basis and how they benefit from using a data management solution. So I think it is now time for our Q&A. I can see we've got a couple of interesting questions in the chat. We'll try to cover as many of these as possible during the time we have left, and any that we don't get around to, we will answer over email if you be sure to leave your email as well. So let's have a wee look. Okay, so we've got one here. You also mentioned the ability for Kyloe Data Tools to dedupe records in Bullhorn. Can you expand a bit more on that? Brittany or Alistair, who wants to take that one?
I can do that one.
Sure.
So within Data Tools, we have the duplicate module, and what the duplicate module does is it scans your Bullhorn database, and it can determine, based on preset criteria, what records might be potential duplicates. So this is for candidates, contacts, and companies. So what this does is it uses a weighting system, which you can define. So for example, it will contribute a certain score if two candidates have any of their email addresses are the same, or any of their phone numbers are the same, or their first or last names, and so on. And when one of these matches occurs, it will add a score. And then once the score reaches a certain threshold, then it's determined that those two candidates are potential duplicates. And this information can either be presented in a report to a user, and you can go through and see the different groups of duplicates. So you'll have record A, potential duplicates B, C, and D, and you can exclude them and say, no, that one's not a duplicate. And then when you're happy, you can merge them, or it can happen on a schedule as well. And also there are criteria for if, say, you might have 5 candidates that are the same, there are criteria for determining which of the candidate is the one that you keep, and everything else is then merged into it. You know, it associates old placements with it, can merge field level data as well.
Great. hopefully that answers your question perfectly. Let me just grab another one here. We've got, when saving back documents from different talent platforms, is there a way to update the visibility of these files within Bullhorn so that it's not visible for every user?
Alistair, I think you might as well take that one as well.
Yes, well, as of next week, the next data tools release, we will have tools for changing the is private flag on attachments, and also users and departments that it can be shared with as well. So if attachments are coming in from a talent platform that are not specific Bullhorn credential requirements, if they're just regular attachments, then the attachment type can be scanned and the attachment updated to private as well.
Great, you heard it here first. Okay, so we've also got, how does Kyloe data tools compare with Bullhorn automation? Brittany, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. We get this question quite a bit as product consultants. One of the things I think there are some overlap in what they do, right? There are some overlap in what Bullhorn automation can do and what Kyloe data tools can do. But really how I like to look at them is Kyloe data tools gets your data ready for going into automation, whereas Bullhorn automation is maintaining the clean data, right? So you get your data ready by cleaning it up, by formatting it, by making sure that the skills are correct, the categories are correct, there are no duplicates in your database, and then Bullhorn automation takes that data and then automates parts of your recruitment process. So they work seamlessly together. And yes, there are pieces that you could change a status using data tools. You could also change said status using Bullhorn automation, but a lot of it has to do with get the data clean using data tools, and then use Bullhorn automation to, outsource parts of your process that would normally be manual.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So we also have one here that's asking, can credential process include confirming how many pages are uploaded, i.e. if a document has 10 pages, that 10 pages are confirmed before the credential is accepted?
I think we would need to do a little bit more research to, one, make sure we understand the question fully, and two, then be able to provide an answer. I don't know that off the top of my head. Alistair, I don't know if you do either.
Not off the top of my head, no. I think we might have to come back to that one.
Yeah, so Michelle, it looks like that came from Michelle in the chat. So Michelle, we can reach out to you once we've been able to connect and come back with an answer on that.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind leaving your email address in the chat, then we can make sure we get back to you directly as well. Okay. We have, let's see what we've got here. We have lots of old data following a database merge, and we need to make the values we're using more consistent. Can you help with that?
I think either Alistair or I can
quickest.
answer that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So one common thing I see a lot of our clients using data tools to do is clean up skills and categories. So not only can you see skills and categories that are no longer in those skill and category lists in Bullhorn, using data tools, you can clean them up. You can clean them up using rules that maybe wouldn't naturally occur to you, right? So you can say, hey, if they have this job title in Bullhorn, they don't have this skill or category, then change it to those skills or categories. Or hey, we know that in Bullhorn there are 15 old categories that have been mapped into this one new category, but the data wasn't changed. We can use data tools or data rules specifically to create a rule that says any of these 15 categories, let's take those, transfer them, take them and replace that value with the new value. So yeah, we've seen quite a bit of that. It's not just limited to those types of fields. We also see clients using this to move data from an old field that's now been hidden into the relevant field that it should be in, or statuses that used to exist in the database now no longer exist in the database, but records still have them. So there's lots of examples of how we can use data rules for this. And then our data cleaner product can also just help identify records with some of those irregular data or missing data in the system as well.
Yeah, I think like
I
you
hope that
mentioned as
answered the
well.
question. Sometimes I
I
go
think
on
so,
a
yeah.
on a loop. So
I think with things like data rules, it often starts as something simple like reskilling, and then people spiral with what they can do with it, and it just keeps going. And there's so much more that it can do as well. So it's super useful in that sense. I think we might have time for one or two more. Sort of checking in. So we've got a question that says, how can you make sure you're not doing anything wrong to our Bullhorn system when applying mass updates?
Well, we have sample output within data rules, for example, so you can get a preview of a rule to make sure that it's working as you would expect it. You could put in, when the first few times you run the rule, you could put in additional constraints, such as only looking at a certain date range of records, just to limit the impact of your rules before you're satisfied that everything is working correctly. And we can also revert rules as well, and we could duplicate merges too. So if something does go wrong, we can put it back, and we have sort of encrypted logs of what we've done, so we can restore the data to what it was before.
As someone who double checks every single thing she does before she clicks, that's very useful.
Yeah.
So we've got, I think, one more before we round off. How much time is required for data tools to be enabled in a system and to start applying changes?
Yeah, so there are obviously factors that come into play, right? So timing of what's our team's availability, what's your team's availability. So from the point that we have created or implemented the product in your system and have everything integrated to how quickly can you start using it, it doesn't have to be a super long process. We provide full training, and at the end of that training, you should have everything you need to be up and running in data tools so that you can start making updates. So that training typically is like an hour and a half, and then after that, we're covered, right? We've got you, all set and up and running there. And then obviously we're here continually supporting you as you have questions, as you're exploring what can this product do. It's not like, hey, you've got your training, now go figure it out. It's, hey, you've got your training so you can go figure it out, but we're here to support you along the way.
Perfect. So I think that is all we have time for just now. If there is any questions that we have not gotten to, please make sure to leave your email address in the chat and we will respond to them afterwards. I hope everyone has picked up some useful tips and ideas for the new year. Thank you for all of your questions. And as mentioned before, Kyloe helps companies like you around the world to clean up their Bullhorn databases. If you'd like to learn more about Kyloe data tools, you can get in touch via our website. Thank you to both Brittany and Alistair, and thank you very much to everyone for attending today. You'll soon find the recording in your inbox to refer back to or share it with any of your colleagues. Happy holidays, and we will see you soon in our next webinar.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you.